Hi guys, welcome to Pea Puffer Kingdom episode 2, and as you can tell from the title, today we are looking at internal parasites. Now on the second month of me keeping these Pea Puffer fish, as this one here wants getting on the action, 3 of them had internal parasites. So I thought this is an important topic to discuss. So we're going to look at the signs of internal parasites, what I did to deal with them, to what extent was it successful, and then we're going to look at things that I would do in the future instead to make sure that I give them as much a chance as possible to survive. Now, the signs that I started to notice where they had internal parasites, and I certainly triggered the thoughts in my mind that something's wrong, is one of them had a very, very sunken belly. So what that looks like is the front half where the head is almost like it's just a jaw at the front and then a very skinny body behind, very skinny. Almost like it's sucking in its stomach a lot. And it was not eating, so that's the second sign. It's quite an obvious one, obviously. And it's not great to watch because obviously when you buy them, you want to give them the best life they possibly can and watch them flourish in your tank. But when it's not eating, you kind of just have to kind of make sure that you're on the right track. You don't want to give them the wrong medicine. So I was then thinking, okay, well, I'll give it a few more days, see what changes. In the end of the next day, I decided, okay, this is something that's not going to go away. He's not just a bit shy for eating that some might do when they're a bit new to a tank. This guy has got more issues than that. Another sign, the third sign, other than the sunken belly and not eating, was a second pea puffer then had a big, almost like bulb shape inside its stomach, so it looked like a little ball was in there, not from feeding, not that kind of belly, but one almost to the side, which I'll show you a picture of for both these puffers. So that was something that was quite alarming, and it was very obvious as well, that one. It looked like there was worms or something inside of the stomach that was eating away all the food it was eating. And it was always quite a loner, that pea puffer fish. It'd always swim around like the parameters of the tank and kind of do its own thing rather than joining the whole pack of pea puffers, if you like. And that was really noticeable, that one. So that's the 3 that I noticed. What did I do to treat it? Well, I looked online, looked at what other people were doing. One of the more popular ones that people were using was Esha NDX. Now, what that looks like, here's one I prepared earlier, is Esha NDX. What you do is you drop 1 milliliter per liter into the tank, and then after 24 hours you do a 50% water change on that, and then after 2 weeks, if the signs are still there, you then retreat the tank. So yes, after 24 hours of putting that in, you need to do a 50% water change. If you have active carbon in your filter, then you need to do a 20% water change, because you don't use the carbon filter whilst medicating the tank. You actually take that carbon part of the filter, the active carbon, out of the tank for the 24 hours that you've medicated it, and you put it back into the tank 24 hours later. And if you've got active carbon in the tank, you only need to do a 20% water change, because the active carbon basically nullifies the medicine, and that's what it does in the tank. Now, what that did for my pea puffers was actually not a lot. I think the first one was probably too far gone. That died 48 hours after using the medicine. It was just getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and then one night it was just sat towards the bottom corner here, no energy at all. So I went to scoop it out with a net, and then it started moving again. So I thought, oh, maybe it's on the mend. And 24 hours later, it was still lethargically moving around a little bit, but it was showing no signs of eating, nothing at all. And within about 2 to 3 days of the medicine going in, the first one that had the sunken belly died. Now, the second one that had the sort of bulge in its stomach, like a bulb, the actual bulge disappeared completely. Within 24 hours of that Esha NDX going in, the whole lump disappeared. I didn't see any worms coming out, so maybe that happened overnight or something, I'm not too sure. So that was something that was a positive. That went out, and his energy picked up straight away. Really started to look a lot better. It was swimming around the tank with much more pace than it had done, because that second one had started to lose a lot of energy. But with the Esha NDX, it did actually start to pick up quite a lot. And actually, when it did start to pick up, it ate a lot of food. Then it threw it back up because it hadn't eaten properly for a few days. And then he ate a couple more. So he started to eat a bit more, started to get his shape back. And then, unfortunately, after about 2 weeks of lasting after this, I then did the Isha NDX second dosage. And unfortunately, that just still wasn't enough. It was just too late for it, or it just wasn't strong enough to cope with the medication. I don't know. If anyone knows about these kind of things and if there's something that maybe I did wrong with the Isha NDX, comment below. Let me know, because I want this video especially to be helpful to everyone that's looking, and that's the whole point of this series, is to be helpful for people who are looking to get pea puffers or have them suddenly have a problem come up and they can look to this channel and think, oh, okay, that's what I can do to help. Next up, the third pea puffer. So unfortunately, as you're gathering from this story, all 3 pea puffers that got the internal parasites died despite using Isha NDX. The third one had no energy 24 hours after the Isha NDX, and then the following day it died. It was almost like really suddenly. There was no signs of it, no skinny stomach, no bulge. It had been eating fine, but then within 24 hours of the medicine going in, and it may be a coincidence, but I don't think it was, it just suddenly dropped all energy, and it died very, very quickly. So I lost 3 pea puffers within about 3 weeks. I would have liked to get the medication in a lot earlier than I did. Unfortunately, I had to work all day for the 2 days in a row after I thought, okay, this is getting serious. At that point, it was no point ordering online because it would be about 3, 4, maybe 5 days before the medicine got in. So it was about 3 days after I noticed the one that had a really sunken belly that I was able to get medicine into that tank. So perhaps if I got in a couple of days earlier, I wouldn't have lost any of them. Who knows? So that was very, very sad turn of events in the pea puffer tank. Once I'd made sure that the others were healthy and there was nothing getting into their internal system, I then bumped up the pea puffer pack. So I ended up going from 5 pea puffers getting 4, and now I have 9 pea puffers in the tank. And I'll do a little update at the end of the video as well on that, to show you the new guys and how they're settling in. Now, the other medications that you can use that I've heard about and read about, I'll put a link in the description for each one of these to eBay or Amazon, so you can at least see what they look like, or I might even put up a picture in the video as well towards the end to show you what they look like. So the first one is actually for discus, called Kusuri, Kusuri. So that's Kusuri Plus, which is used for discus, but you can actually use it for pea puffers. I need to get more into how you would dose that into a tank, or whether you'd mix it with the food, but that's one that I've heard about. So that's one that you'd normally use with discus, but actually works with a lot of other fish as well, and a lot of people have had tons of success with that. The second one is Ep.3 Pro. That's one that I believe you mix in with the bloodworms, whatever you're feeding. Because one thing that I did learn from this is that maybe treating the tank water wasn't the best way to treat internal parasites. Perhaps treating the food so they ingest the medicine much more directly is going to be the best way to go. So for me, I'm next going to choose the Ep.3 Pro, mix the food in, and then if it happens again, and then go from there, and hopefully they eat it. They didn't eat the food soaked in garlic, which I tried. I've heard that works with a lot of puffer fish. For these guys, they just didn't want to know about the food at all when there was like a scent and a whiff of the garlic in the food that I'd soaked with the bloodworms. They just didn't touch it at all. And obviously I wanted them to eat, so I then had to put worms that hadn't been mixed with garlic. The third one is Paragard. That's another one that you can use. Some people had mixed success with it. The fourth one is... what's the fourth one now? Paragard, Ep.3 Pro, Discus Kusuri. General Cure. That's the fourth one. General Cure. A lot of people had success with that, so that's something I'm going to look into as well. Again, if you're watching this and you think, oh, I know that one works, but these ones not so much, comment below to give me some help, give everyone else some help who's watching this. Because I want this video, again, to be a real sort of educational tool for everyone, and we can help each other as well with our experiences of what works and what doesn't. Now, what I would do if I was going to get pea puffers, looking back at this in hindsight, is perhaps have the stuff ready to deworm prior to it happening and occurring. So that way, when it does occur, if it occurs, you already have the medicine. You can just use it straight away, and you can get to it really quick. So anyone who's watching this, watching this and is thinking of getting pea puffers or has just bought pea puffers, I would buy stuff to deworm them now. So if you start to see signs, you can get on it straight away. Unlike what I could do, I ended up not being able to get on it for 2 days after noticing it, and I lost all 3 of the pea puffers that got internal parasites. So yes, I would suggest to everyone watching this, if you haven't got them or just got them, buy something that can deworm them now. So then if you do get internal parasites, you can get on that straight away. And that's something that I've certainly learned from this experience.
So this is Kong, who was the third pufferfish to die. Now this is the one who lasted about another 3 weeks after the treatment, the first treatment went along. And I discovered after he passed away, or she rather, that the marking on the back was a bit unusual. So I was wondering if you guys could maybe have some ideas on what this might be, whether it's part of the internal parasites getting out, or whether it was the pufferfish having a nibble, or the Armano shrimp. I'm really not too sure. So this is obviously a much more close-up version of the marking here. I think it's parasites, but yeah, if you know or you've seen this before, you've had this before in your pea pufferfish, let me know in the comments section below and get some kind of idea as to what this could be.
So this is one of the new guys that I've got for the tank, or new girls should I say, and that's another one again doing a poo right on cue, thanks for that. So I've got 4 new pea puffers in the tank, so I now have 9. And as you can see, they're actually doing pretty well. And they're getting on really, really well together. I presume it's because they're not necessarily fully grown and into their adulthood yet that they're getting on well now. So maybe it'll be a case of me having issues later on down the line once they mature. But touch wood, so far, they're actually doing brilliantly together. And there's been no fighting. There's been the usual kind of chasing that you get with pea puffers, but nothing major. Doing really, really well. The plants are starting to fill out the tank as well. The moss here is growing out, looking a bit scraggy, but like I said in the first episode, I do like the kind of more natural look in this tank. This Anubias is growing pretty big now, and as you can see from down here, the roots are growing out really, really nicely, and the puffers getting on the action there as well. They really love exploring the roots, all these little areas. I mean, they're hungry now, so I'll be feeding them later on tonight, but they just love exploring everything that's new. And as you can see, the Java fern is starting to grow new leaves and roots. So what I've done now is I've started to repropagate them, and I've got new leaves that I've super glued to these branches. One at the back there, you can see this one here with a couple of them there. There's also a new one just in the gap here. So ideally I want to get these Java ferns to kind of take over each end of the tank and then have this kind of sort of mystical kind of looking tree in the middle, looking pretty good as it is now. And I've also used super glue to put this nano Anubias into the tree rather than using elastic bands. Same with this larger one, I glued it from the roots here when I was doing a water change on the tank. Once they'd all dried, I did the super glue, let that dry and then put them back in. So it's starting to like overgrow a little bit now in a nice way, so it's looking more and more natural and more for the pea puffers to explore as well. So that's an update on the pea puffer tank with the 9 pufferfish, 4 of them new now, settling in really, really well. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it useful about internal parasites as well. Apologies for having to show you one of the dead ones, but I wanted to find out as well from you guys whether that mark on the one that had passed away was maybe a bite from the pea puffers, which I doubt, or whether it might have even been from the Armano shrimp, which I have in here. Whether they might have started to tuck into it overnight, I'm not sure. I've got 4 of these, but something tells me it was the parasites rather than anything external. So if you could tell me what you think about the mark on that pea puffer, that'd be really helpful as well. So yeah, that's episode 2 of the Pea Puffer Kingdom. If you liked it, subscribe. I want to get this up to 100 subscribers. We've got 16 at the moment. If we could hit the big 100 at some point, that'd be pretty cool for Pea Puffer YouTube channel. Like if you liked it. If you didn't, get drunk and then like it. And yeah, comment if you have anything else to say about it and anything you want to advise people about with medicines. Thank you so much and have a good one.